everybody. Thanks for tuning into the show. I'm Jay LaFosse, Alberta Radio. So today we're going to do an interview with Sarah Courchesne from YEG Life or YEG Built for Life Foundation, and I'm going to bring her on, and she'll explain what her foundation is now. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview. So, how's it going, Sarah?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, you're one of like my first interviews that were, with the change. So, I actually like what you guys been doing on your socials. That's why I reached out to you guys and started sharing. So, I wanted to hear more about what you do for your foundation and what your foundation's about and what led you to start it.
So, YEG Built for Life was an idea that I had after I competed in the Miss Queen Alberta pageant in 2024. During the interview with the panel of judges, we talk about our platform, and mine is domestic violence against women and children. And we talk about how we would be able to give back to the community if we became a title holder. And during my interview, I just realized there were so many gaps, and I was like, there's got to be something more I can do. So I came back and I applied to become a registered charity, and got my incorporation papers at the end of May last year, and applied for registered charity status right away, which I was luckily given in January of 2025. So what we do is we offer safe exit planning. We offer a lot of guidance when it comes to court papers, like filling them out, giving them the language that we feel the judges want to hear. And we have a lot of essentials baskets for clients who are just leaving. So we can offer like a one-time emergency food basket, an essentials toiletries basket. We have a baby basket for women who are pregnant who leave. We have scholarships on our website, and they're actually in the middle of being selected recipients. So we're excited that in September we get to host our first annual scholarship award ceremony for women who are going back to school. They're supporting their dependents, they're working. And it's just one less financial barrier that they don't have to worry about paying back.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how Edmonton is. I know in other parts of the country where I just moved from, it seems that more and more cases are going through the courts in terms of domestic and that. And I don't understand. I want to know what your thoughts was on how the judicial system's processing these files and how it's affecting victims.
It's um it's not at all what I thought it was going to be when I applied initially to go to court. So I was assaulted while I was 7 months pregnant, and my daughter's birth rate went from 50th to 25th to 10th percentile very quickly. 2 weeks before she was born, her femur length was lagging by 3 weeks. So the doctor had a lot of concern about like maybe she needed to induce me so that she could help the baby more outside my body than she could inside my body, just because I was so stressed out about the assault happening and what that meant for my child if she was going to be born okay or not. So when I went to the court system, the court of justice, as they call it, I was hoping, we're going to be protected, we're going to get justice, and that was not at all the case. Um, in a period of about 36 months, I've been to court 26 times.
Wow.
And yeah, and I don't recommend it to anyone, honestly. I was fortunate with my ex-husband, my older daughter's father. We divorced very amicably, no lawyers, no courts, went down to the courthouse, filed papers, and did our own, went for supper afterwards. Like that was our divorce. And for people who are going through this system, you're dealing with a very corrupt system where the judges and the lawyers are there to just do it for the money. Most recently, the judges, have been using the term parental alienation to dismiss claims of domestic violence and abuse against children. And it's become so ingrained in pretty much every court case that I've come across from my clients. And so we're actually, thankfully, just been approved to be supported for a petition to ban parental alienation from the family courts.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Like I've seen where it's used in a sense where parents actually alienated their child in that context, but Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people talk and complain about the court system. You know, whether it's not properly penalizing somebody or just not following the process of law or just changing things that we haven't to set a new precedent really. But they don't. For me, the courts don't think about everybody involved. It's just like you said, it's for money, right? But
Yeah.
my other question was is so you do a lot of work for a lot of folks. Um, does that also apply for men who are affected? That's I had that question.
At this point in time, we are focusing just on women and children.
Cool. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
just wanted to clear. Yeah, that's good. So, do you have a lot of clients right now that you're helping around the region?
Yeah, so we serve the Edmonton and immediate surrounding communities. And at the end of our first annual general meeting at the beginning of June, we had averaged about one client a week. Now, that's about 50 clients or so from last year. Just from the beginning of June until now, we've had about that many people reach out for support, for guidance, for resource referrals. Like it is an increasing issue, and I actually spoke with the Office of the Federal Minister of Women and Gender Equality about a month ago, and we were talking about, we need to declare domestic violence an epidemic across Alberta against women and children. And so she's actually going to connect me to the Minister of Justice office to make proposed changes to the Judicial Act, which will, in a way, hold them more accountable to the decisions they're making, especially when they're actively choosing to ignore evidence or not allow a victim to submit evidence as an exhibit. And I also sent him a draft of a petition to amend the RCMP Act so that RCMP officers can be sued for their wrongdoing. They have immunity and they shouldn't in some cases.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that should apply for all police because
Hmm.
yeah, that's something. In my lifetime, I've heard. Like I actually know some folks where the wives have left their husbands and their police, and he's a police officer, and it's there's a whole bunch of factors, but still at the end of the day, these guys are doing what they're doing, they're getting away with it. It's not just that either; it's the abuse of power too, right? So I
Hmm.
find that the RCMP, I'm glad you're actually doing that because somebody's doing something productive, and I would have never even
Try,
thought, I would have never
trying
even
anyway.
thought of that, right? But overall, like throughout the community, like when you're doing all this stuff, and do you guys host events and do fundraisers as well, or?
Yeah, so like I said, we are hosting our scholarship award ceremony. It will be an open event. Tickets can be purchased after September 1st on Eventbrite. We just had a fundraiser this past weekend with Bad Habit Tattoo in South Edmonton Common. They did a fundraiser for their annual flash sale. They pick a charity to donate all the shop proceeds to for the day, and they selected YEG Built for Life Foundation. And on September 30th, Bike Night at Blackjacks in Nisku is also going to be donated to YEG Built for Life Foundation.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, man, Blackjack's awesome. I love their
Yeah,
car shows.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I volunteer for an organization called Urban Bulldogs Against Kids Abuse. And so we're a biker organization. We provide criminal court support. So if there's families who have children who have to go and testify against their perpetrator, we can go with them if they do an intake, and then, we meet the family, and then whoever's available can go down to the courthouse and just support the family while they're going through that process.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome,
Hmm.
especially for kids. Like, yeah, that's and the reason why I like doing these kind of interviews is because it's like I mean I've lived through that and I've watched. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Some of us I went through, but there are some good people doing some good work like yourself, and a lot of us appreciate that because it takes that work to be put in, but the
Oh, thank
outcome
you.
is good for everyone at the end of the day. But I had a few other questions. Now I forgot because I just had a brain fart. Right?
Um,
Jesus.
that's okay.
Um,
I do a lot of sharing of my story through some of the posts that I put on Facebook too, and I get to like let other women know that they aren't alone. The experiences that they're going through are validated, and sometimes like that's all a woman needs to just take that next step to reach out for the people and resources that they really need. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you find that like in terms of program and services by the government and the municipality, do you find that there is enough resources, or do you think that maybe guys like me could find a way to lobby for more resources to get more done, and so it helps organizations like yourself?
So I actually met with shelter movers last week, and they are in Edmonton and Calgary. And what they do is if they have a domestic situation where, they need help moving out, shelter movers will go and help them free of cost, depending on the um, if it's a high conflict situation or not. They have security, they take police with them if they need to, but some of those situations can be really challenging from what I gathered at our meeting. But the escaping an abusive relationship benefit is another one through the government of Alberta, and I don't know how many times you can apply, but depending on the financial situation of the victim, they will only do like a damage deposit or the cost to help you move or maybe a month's rent or half a month's rent or so like it's really sporadic and it's really case dependent.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I got people commenting. They're saying, from how I had one. I guess they're going to change it on vaccinations, but I don't know. I don't want to pick your brain about the vaccinations, but I know that there's an issue in Alberta with some who, and it's just widespread the issue, not just for COVID vaccines, but I think the government of Alberta was going to make people pay for all their vaccines. I'm not quite sure if that was just of COVID or whatever, but I don't agree that even though I have a hard stance on some of it, but I do agree that people who want the choice, some of them should be covered and some of them shouldn't. But I don't know. What do you think about that especially when it comes to the kids? Like, do you think that there should be overreach the way public health has in terms of maybe harming the kids medically, even if it's not vaccines, any other medical treatment that could harm them?
Well, it depends on the treatment. Like, as an Albertan, like I've been an Albertan pretty much my whole life, and I thought we paid into the healthcare system so that those wouldn't have to have a cost to them, and especially if they're going to try and mandate them, like
Yeah.
that's something that the government should cover.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I sort of agree with your point there because we do pay taxes to have things covered, and that's the purpose of taxation.
Mhm.
On another issue or another topic, how many like are you working with other groups like yourself? Are you guys like a big network of folks around Alberta working with each other, or is it just you guys are doing your own thing with other
So,
community leaders?
so we have connected with quite a few other organizations. I actually was meeting with Safe Families this afternoon. I'm connected to the Parkland Pregnancy Support Center now. I'm going to be connecting with the local FCSS offices to kind of learn more about what their services are because we do help the surrounding communities, and I'm only familiar really well with Edmonton services. But we also are a part of the Chamber of Commerce here in Edmonton, so we do a lot of networking at the coffee events, and we get to meet new people. We've met new sponsors, we've met new clients that way. So it's yeah, we do a lot of networking.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure because it's always good to ask because I know a lot of folks that do some of the stuff you're doing, but they do it in Ontario, and their issue is it's the lack of support locally for some of the things they do, and it's all politics, right? So I always ask, non-for-profit leaders, like when working with government, do you find it's a challenge to work with government officials, or do you find it's actually easier? What's the communication like in terms of trying to broaden your scope of assisting people who need your help?
Um, okay, so it depends on the level of government and the system that I'm dealing with. Um, and that's the honest truth. So 2 years ago, my daughter came back with strangulation marks, and we got to the hospital at 8 p.m. and she had a full-blown meltdown at about 10:30. We were moved out of the emergency room around 1. We fell asleep. That was documented in the nurse's notes. And when we saw the doctor at 2:30 in the morning, she based her assessment on the child, like on my child's behavior after we had been there for 6.5 hours and she had had a full-blown meltdown and a rest. And so when she woke up at 2:30 to be assessed, she was acting normal. So I actually took that complaint all the way to the end of CPSA. I took it to the Ombudsman of Alberta, took it to the Ombudsman of federal level too, and they all dismissed it. However, in the complaint review, like the final review, the contradicting statement that should have completely voided the doctor's assessment was that she didn't consider the time we were in the waiting room for that 6.5 hour period. But she based her assessment on her behavior, but didn't include the behavior she had in the waiting room. So I was like, it's a really contradicting statement that should have voided her assessment.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
yeah, and unfortunately, like I keep fighting, I keep trying to fight for her, and they've actually said to me, even up until yesterday, that they will stop responding to my emails,
Are you serious? Really?
stop avoiding account. Well, that's how they avoid accountability.
And oh wow, man, that's just it seems to be that seems to be the trend now. With the way things are, especially like it's not every branch of administration, but I mean it's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, we got to change that to make it work better. So, but
Oh, I'm
the
working
the
on
other
it.
question I have is, because Alberta, we're under the UCP government, and I know people have opinions on it. I'm not looking for your opinion on a political view or anything, but what I'm looking for, because of what you're doing, and you're helping community members and you're helping a lot of victims, do you feel that this current administration under Daniel Smith is doing excuse me, is doing enough to help groups like yourself, or not enough? Because what I'd like to do is, if they aren't doing enough, we got to find ways to get them to do that, right? And I'm one of those kind of people. Like, I'll advocate for that. So I was just curious on how you felt about that.
I do not think that Danielle Smith is doing enough. Um, when she was first running to be the premier, I remember that there was an interview. She was talking just to some ladies on the street that she was campaigning on, and one of the ladies actually said to her, the domestic violence, and this is how bad the court system is. And apparently she was just shocked, like she had no idea. Now, fast forward, I've actually sent her office numerous emails about trying to make this change and holding these people accountable with no response until I finally said to her, it would be nice to get a response from your office. And the response I got back was, we let um, every email that comes in, we let the premier know what's happening. But I mean, when she's getting, several hundred emails a day and she's got her eyes set on one thing, all of those things sit in the background.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The communication for all politicians is poor. I give them a failing grade. Um,
Hmm.
so what would you say, like, if I said to you, I agree that, because I don't agree with all of Daniel's policies, right? I do agree with some, but at the same time, I'm looking to find a bridge, or gap the bridge where, because we have this current government, majority of Albertans, it's just a political thing, but I'm looking at trying to look for solutions to get them to, assist groups and non-for-profits, especially if you're helping a lot of people, with especially domestic victims and other stuff like that, right? And I know that previous governments focused more on that, which is good. I mean, even when I was working for Jack Layton, we focused on that quite a bit, as NDPers, but that administration is no longer, and personally, I have my own view on that. But I do agree that, yeah, she could probably do more. So, what areas do you think that would we could look at trying to focus on getting her to help in those areas, like to improve it?
Definitely the RCMP and definitely the judges.
The judges, eh?
Um, so I have two separate complaints against two separate RCMP officers that went all the way to the civil review in Ottawa. The first one being when my daughter came back with strangulation marks. I had the RCMP officer phone me and tell me they're not charging him and that I can't gaslight and change my story to have him charged.
Okay, so let
That
me
came,
ask you something. The strangulation marks on your child, what was that caused by? Was that from the police
she,
officer?
no, she came back from a double overnight visit with my ex,
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
and he had strangled me days before I found out I was pregnant while we were in BC at his parents' lake house.
okay. Yeah, I never
Yeah,
asked that, so
no
thank you
worry.
for answering it. I really never asked that before. I was just curious. Um, Now, the courts, like, I know the courts are failing in a lot of ways. Uh, there's no accountability for those, for, the abusers either. Um, Give me like, did you like other? I hear like here. I'll tell you what happened with me when I grew up. What happened to my mom. So growing up, I lived in a violent home. Like it was violent. My stepdad was very abusive towards my mom. Like he'd put her through walls and stuff. Like it was crazy. And back then, the system, the way it was set up was even if the child tried to report the abuse, the child was guilty or the woman was guilty of something to get the abuser to get
Hmm.
off, right? So, you know, I lived in group homes. I ran away from home. I lived all that life. But thankfully, I never turned into that monster, right? But when I look at the services, I look at the court system and how it's changed, and I feel sometimes that it really hasn't changed because they propagated this narrative where they were trying to care about victims, and victim impact statements were supposed to be effective in the courtroom, especially when we're outlining sentences for abusers and stuff. And I feel that's become like somewhat irrelevant now in the court's view. Like it's like another case in Calgary where I read three adults, young men, jumped an old lady, and like they raped her and stuff. It was a gang rape, and these guys got off. You know what I mean? And it's still a violent, heinous crime on a woman. Um, so like I don't know. From now till like from back then till now, I don't think it's changed, and I think that it's becoming worse. Like do you feel that it's silencing the victims more? Like,
100%.
yeah, eh?
100%. So I was in trial last year, self-representing because my lawyer had quit 2 months earlier and legal aid wasn't taking on any new clients. So I had no choice but to self-represent. And I had this judge who was the one who dismissed the strangulation marks the previous year because the doctor didn't report it to CFS. And he actually accused me of having parental alienation behaviors because I kept her when she returned with the strangulation marks.
So any
Just
reason to, yeah.
despite the photo evidence, and like I'm talking the one mark here, two on the neck, and I have the 2 point contact photo. And my ex put in his affidavit that she took a spill on her bike. I'm like, how do you take a spill on your bike with like the marks very visible and the double, like the 2 point contact?
Yeah, no doubt. That's like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So what happened to him? Did he do time or anything? No
nothing
time?
happened. Nothing. I
Wow.
was in front of a judge. I was in front of a judge last year too, asking for an emergency protection order, different judge. But she had come back with a partially collapsed lung and petechiae bruising all over her chest because daddy kicked her in the chest 2 times. And when I went to court, I was telling the judge, the intimidation tactic of him almost hitting me with his car the first time I called out his abuse in court, the strangulation marks, and everything else. He did not care. He did not know what Kira's law was, even though I asked him to consider it. So Kira's law mandates judges to have domestic violence and coercive control training. When I'm in front of this judge, Kira's law had received royal assent 16 months earlier, and he didn't know what it was.
The judge didn't
And
know.
the judge did not know what it was. And so he did not give me the emergency protection order because he was more concerned about my ex's reaction to getting the emergency protection order and that we would be harmed more than actually protecting my child.
Oh man, kangaroo courts in this country, and that's another thing. The court system. I feel that when we make change to legislation and the judicial system, any kind of law, uh, I find that the judges are not updating themselves, even the lawyers. Like, unless it's a case that they're going to go review and they see it's a topic of, that the government's. But even then, oh my God, I think we need an upgrade course just for judges, right?
Well, I'm actually working on training. So I did an event in July, and there was a lady from the Alberta Firearms Licensing Office, and she came to my booth and she was looking for something that would be able to identify the traits, the characteristics, the cycles of perpetrators, because when they get a public safety complaint and the perpetrator has a gun license, they suspend the license and they do an investigation. So I am in the middle of developing training like that, but I'm also preparing that to be used in a training session next year, which would have all of these victim advocacy agencies like victim services, social workers, lawyers, psychologists, judges, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, because it's needed. I'll tell you that. Like, I say it like, every so often. I'll say it.
Hmm.
Like even the cops, when you call the police are they're not informed, and I just don't understand how the judicial system can operate this way when there's so many laws being piled on or amendments and changes to different laws and even like civil is the same thing. Like it's just mess. So yeah, it's good that
Hmm.
you're being proactive on that because we do need people to lead the way. And even like people that are around my circle, we've been so focused on different topics that there's so many issues that like it's just polluted with issues, right? And nobody can take on the whole monster. So people like us who are activists, at least I give us the pat on the back because we do the work, and it's nice to hear that, you know, people who are affected by such a darkness can come out of the light and actually do something proactive to help others and pay it forward, right? So that's really awesome you do that. I commend you for that. Um, so if there was anything you could say to folks that could reach out to you for your help and maybe be able to find you online or anything like that, what would you be able to like that information? You can just plug yourself in.
Yeah, so on Facebook, we are YEG Built for Life Foundation, and all the messages come direct to my phone. We also have a website. It's yegbuiltforlife.org, and there's a contact form on there which will ask, if it's safe to contact you at this email or phone number that you're giving us, and kind of a brief overview of what's happening. And then usually I'll set up an intake to see how further we can support them or if I can refer them to other organizations that I've met with.
Awesome. I got one more question. I know, like in some situations, they have like Geneva houses and stuff like that for women, for battered women and stuff. And I don't even like using the word battered. I just it's the houses for women who need the help and have been abused. But have you approached any of those places to or worked with them at all?
No, so when I started this organization, actually the goal was to develop housing. And so in January 2026, I will be starting fundraising for our second stage long-term affordable housing for women and children who are leaving abuse.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
actually pretty sweet. Yeah, let us know because if you need us to pump that out and help in any way, share whatever, we definitely like to help you do that and spread the message. And hopefully, some of our people could reach out and help you out too. No, I really commend what you're doing because it's nice to see that, right? Like we need more people. I mean, there's so many things that are going on, and we need to find solutions. And we need fixers and people like you, myself, other folks that we do this work. I mean, we're fixing. We're looking for solutions, and that's where we're at. So, and I like the fact that even folks like ourselves who have different opinions can come together and have just a basic interview and talk about actual issues that we need to tackle and help each other out with, right? So that's what I'm trying to do with
Exactly.
this show, and that's why I wanted to bring you on too, is, get my audience involved in what kind of direction and what other people are doing around Edmonton and Alberta that are helping folks, right? And that's the key thing, is people that are
Yeah.
out there putting the work in, putting the time in, helping each other out, helping those who really need it. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I think it's awesome. But
I
yeah,
love
so I
it.
guess if you had anything else you want to add, you can plug in, and I'll call it a. It was actually a pretty good interview. Thank you so much, eh?
Yeah. The only other thing I would say is September 13th, we're actually hosting a province-wide um, virtual meeting just to talk about, people's own personal experiences and how they want to make changes and what kind of changes. Because I mean, I'm one person and I'm learning a lot as I go through the court system and as I meet new clients and hear about their experiences. So we are hosting a province-wide virtual meeting on September 13th. And if anyone is interested in attending that, they can go to the YEG Built for Life org and put in the contact form on the bottom of the first page, their contact information and which session they want to attend. So there's 3 sessions. There's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., and then 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you
Yep.
coming on the show and doing this interview with us. And anytime you want to, if you're doing any events, let us know. We'll definitely share that out for you. I'm interested in
All
attending
right.
those meetings because, we need some folks to come together and actually look for solutions on problems that we're facing, especially like all across Alberta. And I think that personally, I think Alberta's smarter than the rest of the country. So I believe that once we lead these initiatives, we could probably teach the rest of the country, people in other provinces, to do the same, right? Maybe make some change.
Yeah.
But I really commend what you're doing, man, especially lobbying for change with the RCMP and the judicial system, because it's important. I mean, it needs to change. So yeah, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated.
Well, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, yeah, I know. You know what? I know when Kurt did he did the video. I guess you guys did the interview, and for some reason, I don't know what happened. I thought I had it set, but apparently not. So I was like, well, I'll just redo it. But yeah, I know. I didn't like Kurt
I was,
got pretty busy today, but no, like for this, for what I'm like, I'm taking a new direction with this brand. I know like some people will say there's a lot of controversy on what I post, but we're changing that, right? So
Mhm.
I'm trying to manage a way where we can bring people who care about people to make change. So yeah, you'll see that as we go on in the next few weeks. It's actually going to be a pretty big change, but we want more people like yourself to come on our show, and we want to hear from people because it's like you said, one person can't do it alone. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
folks out there doing or wanting to do the same thing or even wanting to contribute to help. And I think that, if what you're doing at this meeting to get like-minded folks and to do that, I mean, I think that's a good start. So yeah, I'll sign up in a couple days there and I'll definitely attend one of those meetings for sure.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Are you going to the ledge tomorrow?
No, I'm going to Calgary tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. I had to pick your brain about it. Um, All right, well, that's good. Thank you for coming on the show. And for my viewers, follow Sarah's page, Yeg Built for Life Foundations on Facebook. Are you guys on Instagram as well?
No.
No, just Facebook and that's it, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, just
So follow
Facebook
it
and our website.
in the website, yeah. So other than that, I bid you guys farewell and thank you for coming on the show. And hope we'll have you on again another time.
Thanks, Jason.
Awesome. All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in. I just want to say, that's an awesome video. I don't do too many like that, and we want to do more. So just basically what we're doing for the brand here for Alberta Radio is to get more folks involved. Whether this is the thing is we put aside our political beliefs. We just put them aside for a minute. Be able to come on, talk about what we're doing around the province, helping others, and coming together and trying to find solutions to move us forward, right? So if you want to be on the show and do an interview, reach out to the page, visit my website, albertaradio.ca, or you can contact me via email, jlaface@gmail.com, which is on my screen, and we'll get in touch. So that's pretty much it, and we'll see you guys later. God bless Alberta. Much love.